Today we'll be discussing Word 2013, Lesson 5, Managing Text Flow. Our lesson skill objectives are to set page layout, working with page breaks, controlling pagination, setting up columns, inserting a blank page into a document. Our key terms today include columns, hyphenation, landscape orientation, line break, margins, non-breaking spaces, orphan, page break, portrait orientation, section break, and widow. We will be working with the Page Layout tab. So, at this time, open up a blank document in Word 2013. We will navigate to the Page Layout tab, first examining the Page Setup group. You will notice that we have a place for change our margins, orientation, change paper size, insert columns, insert line breaks, page and section breaks, insert line numbers, and show hyphenation. The Page Layout tab contains groups of commands that produce a formatted document's layout for the entire document or sections in that document. Commands in the Page Setup group allow you to set margins, change the document's orientation, and adjust the paper size for the entire document or sections of the document. The Paragraph group contains features that control how a paragraph breaks within the document's pages. You'll notice that you have indentions and spacing and a paragraph dialog box launcher. You can also manage text flow in a document by creating multiple columns in the document, customize column settings, and inserting column breaks. The first thing that we're going to learn today is how to set margins. Margins are the white space that borders the top, bottom, and sides of a document. You can change margins from the Word's default size of 1 inch by using the Page Setup Group Margins tab. So we would go to the Page Layout, Page Setup Group, Margins. You will see that there are several default settings that you can choose from, as well as clicking on Customizing Margins, which will take you to the Page Setup dialog box, Margins tab, where you may adjust your margin size. So let's practice setting our margins. We're going to open up the proposal file for this lesson. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to close this blank document. I am not going to save it. I am now going to go to File, then Open. I'm going to go to Computer, and then My Desktop. On my desktop, we will search for Student Assignments, the Dale folder. We will go into Word 2013 Student Data Files, Lesson 5. We're going to open up the proposal document, so I'm going to hit Open. I'm going to make sure if the yellow tab appears in Protected View that we hit Enable Editing. And for this particular document, we are going to change the margins to the narrow setting. So I'm going to go to Page Layout, Margins, and I'm going to go from normal to narrow by clicking the narrow option. You'll see if your ruler is turned on that it has automatically done that for us. We're going to save this document in your Miss Dale folder as Draft Proposal. So we'll go to File, Save As, OneDrive, Houston County Board of Education, Browse. At this time, you will navigate to your Miss Dale folder. And in the file name, you will save it as Draft Proposal. And save. The next thing we're going to learn about today is selecting a page orientation. A document's orientation determines what direction the text extends across the page. In portrait orientation, which is commonly used for business document, text extends across the shorter length of the document. So the document we're currently looking at, which is Draft Proposal, this is actually portrait orientation. The width is shorter than the height. Landscape orientation, which is commonly used for brochures, graphics, tables, and so on, ornates text across the longer dimension of this page. So we're going to adjust the orientation for this particular document. We're going to go to, again, the Page Layout tab, Page Setup Group. We're going to click on the Orientation button, which is a drop-down arrow, and then we'll switch from Portrait to Landscape, and that will change our entire document from Portrait to Landscape. The next thing we're going to learn is how to choose paper size. Although the standard paper size is 8.5 by 11, which is the default setting, Word provides several options for formatting documents for a variety of paper sizes. Word has several preset document sizes, or you can customize the paper size by clicking on more paper options. So we're actually going to change the orientation of this draft proposal back to Portrait. So I'm going to go back up to Orientation, hit my drop-down menu, then hit Portrait. I am also going to change the paper size. If we're looking at this document, we'll notice that this seems to be a contract that has to be signed. So that is a legal document, and we would typically print a legal document out on legal paper. Legal documents and legal papers are typically formatted on an 8.5 by 14 size piece of paper. So we're going to go to the Page Layout tab, Page Setup Group, Size, and we're going to drop the drop-down menu. As you can see, like I told you before, there are several preset options here for you, as well as if you do not see the option you are looking for, you can click on more paper sizes. But we're changing this from letter to legal, so I'm going to simply click on legal document, which is already preset for us, which is 8.5 by 14. Now, in order to see the changes, we're going to go to the View tab, and we're going to click on One Page, and you will notice now that our page is a little bit longer than before. Let's save our changes. I'm going to do that by simply clicking on the Save Diskette on the Quick Access toolbar. The next thing we will learn today is working with breaks. Word automatically starts a new page for us when in long documents when text reaches the bottom of the page. There might be times, however, when you will work with documents that contain various objects or special layouts that require you to control where a page or a section breaks. You can insert and remove manual page breaks and section breaks, and you can control word hyphenation or set non-breaking spaces in Word. The first thing that we're going to learn is how to insert and remove manual page breaks. A page break is the location in the document where one page ends and a new page begins. The break menu, which is located on the Page Layout tab, Breaks button, it's a drop-down menu, houses several things for page breaks. We have page, column, and text wrapping. A page break is going to insert a manual page break where one page ends and a new page begins. A column break is going to insert a manual column break where text will begin and the next column after the column break. Text wrapping separates the text around objects on web pages, such as the caption text for the body from the body text. So today we're going to insert and remove a manual page break. So I'm going to go back to View. I am then going to go to Page Width and change my page width so I can see it just a little bit better. I am then going to go and I'm going to delete all the blank lines above the proposal description. So what I need to do is I'm going to turn on my non-printing characters by using my Show Hide button. I am going to scroll down until I see proposal description, and there's all of these enters. I am going to delete all of these blank lines from my page. I'm going to hit delete. When I do that, my insertion point should be positioned before the P in the proposal description heading. So this is the proposal description heading, and notice that is where my insertion point or blinky line is positioned. On the Insert tab in the Pages group, I'm going to click the Page Break button. So Insert tab, Pages group, there is a Page Break button. Now, there is another way to insert a page You'll notice that very quickly, proposal description is now appearing on a brand new document. And if we scroll up to the top, you will see, because we have the non-printing characters turned on, a page break appears in a single dotted line with the words page break written. That is one way to insert a page break. The next way, and most commonly used way, is by the page layout tab. We are going to position our insertion point in front of the O of option 1 heading. I'm going to go to the page layout tab, page setup group, breaks. I'm going to insert a page break. Same thing. It's going to automatically take the next section of the heading, option 1, down to a new page. If I scroll up, you will see that a page break is now inserted in the spot where it once was, and we have a dotted line signified by a page break. Now to remove page breaks. So I am simply going to put my insertion point in front of the dotted line page break. You'll see that my insertion point is from there. I can simply hit the delete key, which will delete out the page break, but it also inserts an extra line. So we want to make sure that if that line is not needed, that we delete it out. Another way to delete a page break, and I'm going to scroll up to the first one we inserted, is to put your insertion point after the dotted line and hit your backspace key. Again, it is going to leave that extra line provided by the page break, and if we do not want that line, we are simply going to delete that out. Let's save our changes by clicking on the Save Disklet button, shortcut button, on our Quick Access toolbar. The next thing that we're going to learn today is how to insert section breaks. A section break is used to create multiple sections in the same document. You can even create different sections on the same page. Each section can have its own layout or formatting. You can use section breaks to create a section in your document that contains a page with margins or orientation that is different from the remainder of the document. A section break appears with a dotted double line labeled section break. So let's practice. I am simply going to hit the Control Home key, and that is going to take me back up and move my insertion point to the very top of the page. On the Page Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click the Breaks button. Underneath the breaks, I am going to use my section breaks this time, and there are a couple section breaks that you should be aware of. The first one is a section break that will actually take the section and move it to a new page. So it's going to insert a section break and start a new section on the next page or begin a new page. There's a section break that is continuous. We'll use this the most often. A continuous section break inserts a section break and starts the new section on the same page. You have a section break for even pages. This inserts a section break and starts a new section on the next even numbered page. It will leave a blank line. So if you want to start a new section on page 4, the page 3 will actually appear blank in your document. There is a section break for odd pages. It will insert a section break and start the new section on the next odd numbering. So for example, if you would like a new section to begin on the 3rd page, the 2nd page will actually be left blank. So we're going to actually insert a continuous section break, and I'm going to go back up to the top and hit continuous. When I do that, you will see a double dotted line come across marked section break. Okay. Then I'm going to position my insertion point on the blank line before P in prepared for. So right here, I'm going to insert my insertion point. On the Page Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click on Breaks. In the section breaks, I am going to actually click on the next page. This will move everything underneath prepared for to a new page. If I scroll up, you will see the double dotted line marked by next section break, and in parentheses, you will see a next page. Everything else has moved to a new page. In the O, I'm going to then move my insertion point now to in front of the O in option 1. I'm going to the Page Layout tab, Page Setup Group Breaks button. Under the section breaks, I'm going to hit Next Page. This will again move option number 1 into a new page setting. I'm going to place the insertion point back to page 1, so I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top, and I'm going to simply place my insertion point right there onto page 1. So I'm going to put my insertion point at the very top of the first page. I'm going to select all of these blank lines that you see. I am going to go to the dialog box launcher in the page setup group. So page layout tab, page setup group. I'm going to hit my dialog box launcher. We're going to customize the margins. We're going to change the margins from 0.5 to 2 inches. So I'm simply going to click my up arrow until I see the number 2 appear in the top margin. I'm then going to click the layout tab. Under the page section, vertical alignment, I'm going to change it from top to center. And then I am going to hit OK. The changes made in the layout tab are applied to this section and this section only. And we can view those by going to view one page and see that this is still the same. Our margins are different. We notice that this has a 2-inch margin set, whereas this has a narrow margin set. We're going to save our work by simply clicking the Save button on our Quick Access toolbar. Please note that section breaks can be used to change types of formatting for columns, footnotes and endnotes, headers and footers, line numbering, margins, page border, page numbering, paper size or orientation, paper source for a printer, vertical alignment of text on a page. Remember that when you delete a section break, you remove the section formatting as well. The next thing we're going to discuss today is hyphenation. Hyphens, shown as punctuation marks with a dash, are used to join words and separate symbols of a single word. When a word has a hyphen, the different parts of the word can appear on different lines. By default, hyphenation is off in Word. All words appear on a single line, rather than hyphenated or split between lines. As you format a document, however, you might need to determine to apply a hyphen. So, for this particular section, we are going to learn how to use hyphenation. We are going to close this particular document. So I'm going to go to File, Close, because we are done working on it. We're going to open from Student Assignments. So I'm going to go to File, Open, Computer, and I'm going to browse. I'm going to navigate to my desktop. I am going to then open the Student Assignments folder, the Dale folder, then into Word 2013 Student Data Files, Lesson 5, and I am going to open the Relocation Proposal. Again, if the Protected View yellow bar appears, you want to click on Enable Editing. This will allow you to have your own copy. We're going to save this particular document into our OneDrive. So I'm going to go File, Save As, OneDrive Houston County Board of Education. I'm going to browse. At this point, you will navigate to your Miss Dale folder, and you will save it as Relocation Proposal and hit Save. So now you should have your own copy of this particular document in your OneDrive. We're going to then navigate to the Page Layout tab, Page Setup Group, and we're going to click on the hyphenation drop-down arrow. We're going to select that our hyphenation is automatic. Okay. We're going to now review our document. You'll notice that certain things are now hyphenated. Okay, see, like the T and the technology, the AM and ample office space provided. On certain parts, things are hyphenated. On other parts, they're not. That's what it means to have automatic hyphenation. Once again, we're going to go back up to the top I'm going to simply put my insertion point in front of the U and USA. I'm going to go to the hyphenation drop-down list in our page setup group. I'm going to change it to manual. Okay? When we switch it to manual, hyphenation, a dialog box appears. A dialog box will appear, and we will begin to check to see if we would like hyphenation. So the first one is going to come up. It says headquarter, and they want to put a hyphen between the R and the TER. So we're going to say, yes, that's okay to be hyphenated. The next one is review. They want to put a hyphen between the RE and the VIEW. I'm going to say no because view, there's too many words on the next line, so I'm going to say no. The next word they would like to hyphenate is headquarters again, which is the head and the quarters, and that will be okay because that is already hyphenated. We already typed it that way. The next word that they would like to hyphenate is issue. I'm going to look at this and see that SUE, it has more letters on the bottom line, so I'm going to say no. Anytime that we're ready to quit hyphenation, to manually select hyphenation, we just click cancel. Now, in order to change and to turn off hyphenation, we would just simply click none, and that will take away the hyphenation that we have manually put in. Let's save our work that we've already completed. The next thing that we're going to learn how to do is inserting line numbers. Displaying the number lines makes it easy to reference specific places in the document. Line numbering places a number on the left of each line. You can start a new number by page or section or suppress line numbers. So in this particular exercise, we're going to add line numbers to our document. So we're going to go to the page layout tab. In the page setup group, we're going to click line numbers, and a drop-down menu will appear. There are several options. You have continuous, restart each page, restart each section, suppress for current paragraph, or we have a line numbering options, which will open a dialog box. We are going to use to practice. First, we're going to start with continuous. And you'll notice that each line of text will proceed on the left-hand line in the margin by a number. As we scroll through the document, you will see that it appears all the way down. Now, the way we would use line numbers is by using the go to command. So on my keyboard, I'm going to press Control G to use the go to command. I can use to go to what? We're going to say a line. I want to go to line number, for example, 25. I'm going to type 25 in the line number. I'm going to hit go to, and you will notice that my insertion point and my page will shift down to where I can see line number 25. Again, line numbering is only used to reference certain lines in a document. To turn line numbering off, we would simply go back to line numbers, none, and you will see that the numbers simply disappear. Let's save our work by clicking the Save button on our Quick Access toolbar. We're going to close this particular document because we are done working on it. The next thing we are going to learn how to do is inserting non-breaking spaces. You will learn to insert non-breaking spaces in Word to keep selected text on a single line. So we're going to open up the document Employment Offer Letter from the lesson folder. So I'm going to go File, Open, Computer, Desktop. I'm going to search for Student Assignments folder, then the Dale folder, then Word 2013 Student Data Files, Lesson 5. I'm looking for the Employment Offer Letter. I'm going to open that. Again, if your Employment Offer Letter opens in Protected View with the yellow bar, you want to click the button Enable Editing. We now want to save this particular document in our OneDrive. So I'm going to go File, Save As, OneDrive Houston County Board of Education. I'm going to browse. I'm going to navigate now to my Miss Dale folder. In that particular, I'm going to save it as Employment Confirmed. And I will hit the Save button. The first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that my Show Hide button is on to display our hidden paragraph or our non-printing characters, because we are working on inserting a non-printing space. So in order to see that we've inserted the non-printing space, we'll need to see our non-printing characters. And we simply do that by turning on our Show Hide button on the Home tab in the paragraph group. In the first paragraph of the body of the letter, at the end of the second line, the month and the day are separated by 2 lines. We're going to place our insertion point after the R in November. And as you can see, I've placed my insertion point in after the R in November and before the 3rd. Okay, so we see that November and then 3rd is written on a new line. We're going to select this particular space, and we're going to then click on the Insert tab. We're going to go to the Symbols group. We're going to click the drop-down arrow for symbol. We're going to select More Symbols, then Special Characters. We're going to select a non-breaking space. As you can see, there's also a shortcut key if we ever want to use this again, which is Control, Shift, and Space. And you would hold all of those down at one time. I'm going to hit the Insert button and then Close. You'll notice by looking, and I'm going to change my width to page width so you can see it a little bit better, that there's a different looking dot where November and 3 appear. A normal space is a black dot in the middle. This space is signified by an open dot. So we know the difference between a regular space and a non-breaking space. And basically, if we remember, a non-breaking space does not allow these 2 things to break away from each other. November, you see, has been pulled down all the way to a new line so that it becomes easier to read for your audience. We're going to save this document, and we're going to close this document because we are done working on it. The next thing that we're going to learn how to do is inserting line breaks. Using a line break instead of beginning a new paragraph keeps text together when changing the alignment of the document. For instance, if you create a title page that contains 3 headings separated with line breaks, there's no need to select text when changing the alignment. So we're going to learn how to insert a line break in Word to align our text together. I'm going to start by opening a new file. This particular file is going to be blank. On the first line of the document, I'm going to type USA Health Resources. I'm going to follow by hitting Shift and Enter at the same time on my document. And I still have my non-printing characters showing, which I highly suggest if you do not have those turned on, turn those on now. You'll notice that a left arrow appears at the end of the line instead of a paragraph mark, and the insertion point is moved to the next line. We're going to type Corporate Headquarters. Again, I'm going to press Shift and Enter. This is inserting a line break instead of a hard return. I'm next going to type Relocation Proposal. And this time I'm going to hit a hard return or enter. Notice the paragraph mark appears at the end of the line, indicating the start of a new paragraph. We're going to place the insertion point in the second heading and then center. So I'm going to place my insertion point in the second heading, which would be Corporate Headquarters. I'm going to hit center. When I do that, you will notice the whole group of text now has moved to the center without me having to highlight everything. we can change the alignment to the left and then back to center. So this is how you manually insert a line break. We're going to save this document. So go File, Save As, OneDrive Houston County Board of Education, Browse. You will then navigate to your Miss Dale folder. We're going to name this document Title with Line Breaks and hit Save. We're going to close this document because we are done working on it. The next thing that we're going to learn is how to control pagination. A well-organized and formatted document captures and maintains the reader's attention. Microsoft Word allows you to control how your text flows onto different pages. To maintain an appealing appearance and readable content, you might need to keep the first or the last line of a paragraph from appearing on alone by a page. A window or widow is the last line of a paragraph that appears as a single line of text at the top of a page as shown. So we're going to, an orphan is the first line of a paragraph that appears alone at the bottom of a page. So we're going to turn on and our widow and orphan control. We're going to go and open up the checking document from the data files for this lesson. So I'm going to go File, Open, Computer, Desktop. I'm going to navigate to Student Assignments, Dale folder, Word 2013 data files. I'm going to use Lesson 5. I'm going to then select Checking. If your document opens in protected view, you want to hit Enable editing. We then want to save this document as checking choices in our OneDrive. So I'm going to File, Save As, OneDrive Houston County Board of Education. I'm going to browse to my Miss Dale folder. I'm going to save this as checking choices and save. Now, I'm going to scroll to the top of page 2. So I'm going to scroll down to the top of page 2. We'll notice that the widow experience is at the top of the page. This is what I mean by widow. It's a word or a sentence all alone by itself at the top of a page. On page 1 of the document, I'm going to place my insertion point anywhere in the paragraph under preferred checking. So in this paragraph, you can place your insertion point. A lot of times people tend to place their insertion point right after where we see the widow experience. So I'm going to place mine where it says banking and then I have my space. Again, if you do not have your show hide markers turned on, now is the time to do so. On the Home tab in the paragraph group, I'm going to select the paragraph dialog box launcher. I am then going to navigate to where it says Line and Page Breaks tab. I'm going to check the box Widow or Orphan Control, and this will simply turn on our widow or orphan control for our document, making sure the word experience doesn't necessarily get left out onto its page by its lonesome. Once I check that box, I'm going to simply hit OK. And you will notice that a line of text has now been pulled down to the second page in order to join experience. Okay. Once we're done, we're going to save our work and we're going to leave this document open. The next thing that we're going to learn is how to keep a paragraph lines on the same page. So to keep all sentences of a paragraph on the same page, you can use Word's Keep Lines Together command. By default, the Keep Lines Together feature in Word is turned off. So in this particular document that we're using, our checking choices, we're going to place our insertion point anywhere in the 2 lines under preferred checking. So you can see preferred checking. I'm going to place my insertion point anywhere in those lines. I'm going to place my insertion point in front of the I in if. On the Home tab in the Paragraph group, we're going to click the dialog box launcher again. On the Line and Page Breaks tab, which were already there in the pagination section, we're going to click the Keep Lines Together. We're going to check that box, and then we're simply going to click OK. When we do that, you'll notice the 2 lines of text that appeared on page 1 now appear and have been moved to page 2. We're going to save our work that we have completed. Next, we're going to learn how to keep 2 paragraphs on the same page. So I'm going to place my insertion point in the preferred checking heading. So you can place it anywhere in the preferred checking heading that you want. I'm going to place mine in front of the C in checking. I'm going to launch the paragraph dialog box. On the Line and Page Breaks tab in the pagination section, I'm going to select Keep with Next. Keep with Next. I'm going to keep that box checked. That turns it on. Then I'm going to click OK. When you do so, you'll notice that the 2 paragraphs, the heading and the paragraph that follows, are together and have moved to the page 2. We're going to save this document by clicking on the Save command on our Quick Access toolbar. The next thing that we're going to talk about is forcing a paragraph to the top of the page. Automatic page breaks automatically occur at acceptable places in a Word document, but there might be times when you need to force a paragraph to the top of the page. So I'm going to use my Checking Choices document. I'm going to position the insertion point before the S in the Senior Preferred Checking heading. So I'm going to scroll down. I have Senior Preferred Checking heading. I'm just going to place my insertion point in front of the S. On the Home tab in the Paragraph group, I'm going to click the dialog box launcher. On the Line and Page Breaks tab, click to select the Page Break Before box. So I'm simply going to check the Page Break Before box and then click OK. Using this command forces the text to the top of a new page. So notice a brand new page has started for me. Notice that you cannot actually see the page break in the document. So there's actually no page break here. We're going to save using our Quick Access toolbar command, and we're going to leave this document open. This concludes our lesson for part 1 of lesson 5, Managing Text Flow for Word 2013. In today's lesson, you should have learned how to set page layout, work with breaks, control pagination, and insert a blank page into a document. You are now ready to begin lesson 5 activities.